Tonight's Fireside CharLA is being brought to you in partnership with the Latino Coalition of Los Angeles and the United Latinx Fund. This online event series aims to engage, educate, and advocate on the most important and timely topics that impact LA's Latinx community during this time of social change driven by the COVID-19 pandemic and the advancements in diversity, equity, and inclusion. My name is Ingrid Rivera Guzman, and I serve as the president of the Latino Coalition of Los Angeles. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to quickly thank tonight's sponsors, SoCal Gas Company, Actum, and JP Morgan Chase for their commitment to and investments in nonprofits that work to transform, uplift, and help improve the quality of life of our communities. Now, tonight's event is designed to engage you, our audience. So please, at any time, if you have any questions or comments, share them via the chat box. Our program is also streaming live on Facebook. To access the video, you can visit either the LCLA or the ULF Facebook page, links to which will be provided in the chat box. And please be sure to invite your friends to join us on this conversation online. Tonight's charla topic focuses on the future of clean fuels, job opportunities for communities of color. California has made commitments to reach 100% carbon-free energy and economy-wide carbon neutralization by 2045. Well-known renewable sources such as solar and wind, partnered with transportation and building electrification, will play critical roles in advancing these goals. However, there is growing uncertainty about the state's ability to fully decarbonize all sectors of the economy by 2045 by simply relying on these tools. There is also growing concern on the economic impact this transition could have on low-income communities and people of color, especially Latinos, who are disproportionately impacted by both climate change and rising energy costs. There is also evidence that leveraging clean fuels such as renewable gases and hydrogen can help local governments and the state achieve its clean energy and GHG goals more reliably and cost effectively. While clean energies are commonly used in other countries like Canada, Germany, China, and Japan, their growing potential, energy providers are partnering to demonstrate the benefits and to promote policies and investments to grow this industry. These advantages presented by these alternative clean energies provide unique decarbonization and storage benefits, which are appealing to both energy providers and to policymakers in California, which is positioning itself as a clean energies hub. But more importantly, these alternative clean energies provide affordable energy options and vital community investments and job creation opportunities for communities of color which need them the most. Now, I'd like to hand this conversation over to our moderator for this evening, Interim Executive Director of the United Latinx Fund, Richard Corral. Good evening, Richard.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Richard Corral here, Interim Executive Director of the United Latinx Fund. First off, I want to say thank you so much to all of our panelists for your time, for your expertise, and your willingness to participate today. As a friendly reminder, if either Ingrid and I go like this, that means that we do need you to slow down. Also, it would be really helpful if everybody could put your turn your video off if you're not speaking as a panelist or even as a attendee. That really helps us with bandwidth issues. It also makes sure that you can actually hear and see us throughout the entire duration of the program. So thank you. If you could do that, it'd be much appreciated. So let's get right to it. First off, we'd like to hear from our local utilities. And specifically, we'd like to know more about their efforts to provide clean fuels. For example, like hydrogen. If I call upon you, if you could just share your name, introduce yourself, your title and organizational affiliation, and then go ahead and answer the questions. So Frank, you're up first. Please introduce yourself and share a little bit about your response. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. Good evening, everyone. My name is Frank Lopez. I'm Strategic Initiatives Manager for SoCal Gas. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak with you today about what we're doing as a company to advance the use of clean fuels like hydrogen and how Latino communities can benefit from these opportunities. Before I share information about our hydrogen efforts, let me provide you with some context about who we are and why we're investing in clean fuels like hydrogen. So for those of you not familiar with SoCal Gas, we're the nation's largest gas utility. We deliver clean, safe, and reliable energy to more than 21 million customers in 500 communities throughout Central and Southern California, with the exception of San Diego. And I'm proud to say that we're headquartered in Los Angeles and that we have deep roots in the communities we serve because we've been around for more than 150 years. And even though we've been around for a really long time, we take pride in being a company that's consistently innovating. Our mission right now is to build the cleanest, safest, and most innovative energy company in America. And we're currently embarking on a major transformation as a company, in part because of climate change. As many of you know, as mentioned earlier, California has some of the most aggressive clean energy and climate change policies in the nation. And as a state, we're all working towards achieving net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2045. If you think about it, that's less than 25 years from now, and it's a monumental task that's going to require a significant change in the way that we generate, deliver, and consume energy. As a company with a long history of innovation, we're committed to leading the transition to a clean energy economy. And that's why earlier this year, we became the largest North American gas utility to set a goal of achieving net zero greenhouse gas emissions in everything that we do by the year 2045. And this includes the energy that we consume as a business, the vehicles that we drive, and eventually the energy that we deliver to our customers. And one of the ways that we're going to achieve this ambitious goal is by decreasing the use of fossil fuels and increasing the use of clean fuels. And for the gas company, we define clean fuels as alternative fuels that have a net zero carbon footprint. This includes hydrogen and renewable natural gases like biogas from organic waste streams. And the use of renewable natural gas isn't a new thing. We've had renewable gases flowing into our system for years. But what is newer is, at least here in this country, is the increased use of hydrogen. And hydrogen is a zero emissions energy delivery source, just like electricity, that can be used like natural gas to generate electricity, to fuel vehicles, and to heat homes and businesses. And hydrogen is generating a lot of interest because it provides many benefits. And these benefits include the ability to store energy for long periods of time, something that renewable energy sources like solar and wind aren't capable of. And this is especially important right now in California, which is dealing with grid reliability concerns. Another benefit of hydrogen is that it can help reduce or eliminate emissions from sectors of the economy that can't be electrified. And this includes, heavy duty trucks, manufacturing facilities, ships, and airplanes. We see hydrogen as a critical tool in helping us and the state achieve its climate goals. And we're expecting that there's going to be significant investment in hydrogen infrastructure over the next couple of decades. So In terms of what we're doing as a company, we have 10 hydrogen pilot projects taking place right now at SoCal Gas. I won't go over all of them, but I'm going to highlight a couple of ones that I'm particularly excited about. First, we recently tested how much hydrogen we can blend into our natural gas so that customers can continue using their existing appliances without having to make any modifications. And our results show that household natural gas appliances are compatible with up to 20% hydrogen blend. And this is consistent with what other countries like Canada and Germany are blending into their systems. And our goal is to develop a hydrogen blending standard for all gas utilities in the state. Secondly, we're building the nation's first hydrogen home in Downey that will run entirely off of hydrogen generated from solar panels on site. The home will take energy from the panels, convert it into hydrogen, and power the home with batteries and a fuel cell. It's really cutting edge technology. It's the first of its kind project that was recently recognized as a world-changing idea in North America by the magazine Fast Company. And we expect the fully functional home to be ready sometime next year. We're also partnering with a Netherlands-based company to test out new technology that would allow us to blend hydrogen into our system, then separate it so it can be compressed at fueling stations that provide fuel for hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicles. And then finally, the one I want to kind of close on is that we recently partnered with Los Angeles Department of Water and Power and several other companies to form Hydeal LA, which is a partnership to bring at-scale hydrogen to Los Angeles by the year 2030. And through this project, we hope to build the first hydrogen hub in the nation. This project is going to result in billions of dollars of infrastructure investment over the next decade. And for those of you who track the federal infrastructure package, the bill included $8 billion for 4 hydrogen hubs. And I'm proud to say that Los Angeles is going to end up being one of the first hubs in the country. And finally, I just want to close by saying that, hydrogen is going to be one of the next big infrastructure investments in California, and we can't build everything alone at the gas company. We really have to rely on a lot of partnerships. We're going to need support from policymakers like Senator Archuleta, from engineering and construction companies like Morello, who have a lot of experience in building facilities, and then skilled labor like utility workers and other building trades, and communities where some of these facilities will end up being located. And then lastly, Latinos make up the majority of the population in LA and Southern California. And it's important that we start thinking about how we can prepare those communities to also benefit from these investment opportunities so that they don't get left behind like other clean energy investments that have taken place in California over the past couple of decades. And I'll stop there for now.
Thank you so much for that overview, Frank, but then also sharing how the work that you're doing is innovative on a couple different fronts. Also some of the demonstration projects that you're working on, that they're very local here, but then also sharing how the work and the opportunity really needs to be done in partnership. It's not something that can be done alone by any one particular actor. And so really that's one of the propositions and one of the purposes of today's conversation is to bring folks together. And speaking of bringing folks together, I noticed that we do have the Senator, Bob Archuleta, who has joined us. I noticed that he is an attendee, so it would be great, Jake, if we could promote him to a panelist, because I would like him to participate in the next topic. So specifically, I'd like to pivot a little bit to unpack and to explore a little bit more about renewable energy sources and specifically hydrogen. So in comparison to some of the more well-known renewable energy sources that we're more familiar with, like things like wind and solar, what distinguishes clean fuels like hydrogen? What are the pros and the cons? Welcome, Senator Bob Archuleta. I was wondering if you might be able to mute yourself, and if you might be able to share your thoughts, as well as introduce yourself, your title, your position in Sacramento and share a little bit about your thoughts on clean fuels like hydrogen and what are some of the pros and the cons. Senator Archuleta.
Well, good evening, everyone. I am so proud and honored to be with such outstanding Latinos and Latinas that are doing something in the Latino Coalition. And as we see them grow and grow in Southern California, Frank mentioned how powerful we are getting. And but yet at the same time, we've got to get a piece of this pie that's about to be sliced up. And I think that's the one of the things that we have to think about. And I am honored to tell you that I am the senator for the 32nd Senate District. And in that district, we do have Downey. And I've been able to visit the Southern California site and walked it. And I was there at the spot where they're going to build this beautiful home that's going to be run by hydrogen and combining with Southern California Gas Company. And it will be the first of its kind. You heard Frank mention that. And that type of innovation in the future need to be developed and started in a Latino community and Latino district like the 32nd. I'm so proud of that. But I will tell you this, that because of the fact that I've been given the handle of the hydrogen senator, I don't know where that came from, but I've got it. And so I've been running with it. And I am the chair of the hydrogen and energy committee, which is the subcommittee, hydrogen and energy. So I've had the opportunity to physically go to Ontario and meet with the representative of the Shell Oil Company, Southern California Gas Company, Hyundai, also Nissan, and a couple of the other automobile companies. And they had their cars all lined up. We got to see them, beautiful automobiles. And I also got to see the diesel trucks. They had about 5 or 6 of them all lined up. And I was amazed how quiet the engine was. That's number one. And this is fuel cell hydrogen I'm talking about, how quiet. And I can hold up my hands like this, and that's the tailpipe, and just a few droplets of water would come out. And the engine inside the Hyundai or the Nissan or whatever it was, so it actually takes 2 engines to go into the diesel truck. But you can imagine, we've all seen it when a fully loaded diesel truck, 18-wheeler, crosses an intersection, it chugs and chugs and chugs along. Well, with hydrogen, it has the capacity to just go smoothly across that intersection and smoothly up a hill. So burning less energy and less consumption. And that's the whole idea. Extreme mileage is able to do it. To give you an idea, I have a car that I fill it up and I might get 250 miles per tank. If I had a hydrogen, that same car would get almost 400 miles on that same tank of gas. So that's the idea. The other thing is, you think about all the friends and relatives we have in the neighborhoods that we're all from, and you have an apartment building that's got 80 people or 180 people, it doesn't matter. They're all not going to run down and charge their cars because we don't do that. But if they had the choice of a fuel cell hydrogen car, they can go to their local gas station down the road and gas up just as quickly as they do now. And it doesn't take but a couple of minutes to fill your tank, just like it does when you with regular fuel. So the consumer will welcome fuel cell hydrogen cars when we have more infrastructure. And that's where we have to talk about, the old saying, remember, build it and they shall come. Well, the automobile industry is starting to build more, and we are starting to expand our need for the hydrogen stations. But our goal right now, we only have 47. Our goal is 100. But because of the Senate bill that I introduced, Senate Bill 895, gives the California Energy Commission for Research and Development a support system to go out and analyze the zero emission fuels, the infrastructure, and the technologies that are needed. And of course, that takes money. So of course, that bill had to get signed by the governor, like all bills, but it also opened up the door. The next one was SB 643 that the governor signed, which gives the the California Energy Resources Conservation and Development Commission the monies for an assessment, a statewide assessment to look at fuel cell electric vehicles, fueling infrastructure, fuel production that's needed to support the adoption of zero emission trucks, buses, off-road vehicles. And that's amazing that if you think about all these trucks that are at the harbor and all the boats out there trying to bring in the fuel, you can't load them up with electric trucks. It's not going to happen because the batteries would just weigh too much and it just wouldn't work. But fuel cell hydrogen run on these diesels will be able to do that. So I think I heard someone say earlier that it is a future. It is coming. And that's exactly what California is going to do. So as California goes, so goes the nation. And I'm so proud of the fact that we here in California, that we are so Latino strong, and the technology that's here, the students that are in schools right now, whether it's Cal State schools or USC or UCLA or Cal State San Diego or wherever they might be, or Sacramento, they have the wherewithal, the knowledge now to be part of this innovation of fuel cell energy for the future. But talking about Cal State schools, I will tell you that if you're familiar with Los Angeles, we have a beautiful school, Cal State LA. And at Cal State LA, all the vehicles at Cal State LA, the police cars, the staff cars, all of them that is handled by Cal State LA are run on fuel cell hydrogen. They even have a small infrastructure there, small gas station, we'll call it, but it's for the hydrogen. So I've invited some of my colleagues to one day meet me there so they can see exactly how clean it is, how efficient it is, how quickly you can fill up your car with it. So it's a time that we have to look at hydrogen as part of it. So I tell everyone this, very important, that open up the treasure chest of energy, and fuel cell hydrogen has got to be a part of it. Sure, natural gas in there. Sure, we have wind. Sure, we have other things, but hydrogen has got to be part of it if we're going to include everything so we can save our air, our environment and everything else. But the other thing that all of us are looking for is job opportunities for the general public here in Southern California and Northern California, throughout California, as that matter, that we in California create new jobs and work in conjunction with the Southern California Gas Company, work in conjunction with Shell Oil Company, working in conjunction with the California Edison, all these different entities that we can work together and create new jobs, high-paying jobs, where people that you and I know in the state of California could be part of it. And that's what I'm looking for. So we're on the way now that the governor has given the opportunity to investigate. Again, where does hydrogen, how is it made? Where does it come from? How is it going to be transported? How does it get to the vehicle? What is going to be the cost from safety standards all the way through? And we're going to have all that information. And when we do, I believe the doors will kick open when it comes to hydrogen. There you go, Frank. Richard, rather.
Senator, I think you killed it in terms of giving us not just a high-level overview of what distinguishes clean fuels like hydrogen from other renewables and other clean fuels, but also what I really liked about what you said is that you gave us a very practical examples of some of the pros and some of the cons. For example, I can tell you for a fact, I was all of a sudden, paying attention, and I went to my local gas station, and there is a hydrogen fueling. It's basically a pump. It's just it's a little bit bigger, but it's a pump, and it's dedicated just for hydrogen. And then I went on my app online, and I discovered all of the different stations actually that were throughout Southern California. You shared a lot of the pros, but you also shared some of the cons. And one of the cons is that the infrastructure. So being nosy like I am, I did go up to a woman who was refueling at the hydrogen pump. I asked her about her experience, and she did share exactly what you said, which is that the infrastructure is one of the greatest cons, whether it's the availability of the pumps or whether it's the frequency with which the pump is being refilled. Because sometimes it's not refilled with the same level of consistency, right, that the regular petroleum pumps are filled. So when it comes to infrastructure, you had mentioned, obviously that's a challenge, but I also see that as an opportunity, right? And so that's where I want to pivot a little bit in unpacking this kind of infrastructure opportunity and communities of color. So I'd like to pivot to Elizabeth from Meruelo. Elizabeth, what do you see as the potential job opportunities for communities of color locally within this emerging market? And if you could introduce yourself and share a little bit of your thoughts on this important and exciting topic, Elizabeth.
Absolutely. Thank you, Richard. First of all, good afternoon to United Latin Fund and all of the viewers that are watching this. Actually, my name is Elizabeth Martinez. I'm the Vice President of Business Development with Renewable Enterprises. We're actually proud. Our headquarters are here in Downey, so we're part of Mr. Archuleta's district and work with Renewable Enterprises. Mr. Archuleta, you hit a lot of the points and the topics in regards to jobs and infrastructure, and this is where we come. So Renewable Enterprises is comprised of 6 construction companies. As you know, we are a minority business enterprise, and we've been around for a long time. We're actually primes to SoCalGas, 2 of our companies, Herman Weisker and Doty Brothers. Overall, our MEI companies, minority business enterprise and construction companies, employ about 1,400 jobs here in California. We're proud to say that we are in the state of California, and we are just so proud to be here. Let me share a little bit about the job opportunities. But before I do that, I want to say that I'm just proud to be legacy partners to SoCalGas. They've been such great partners to us, and for us to be able to provide all these jobs to our communities of color and some of these upcoming opportunities on the hydrogen power to energy, we're just proud to do that. And I believe that one of our companies, if not met, 2 other ones are ready to do those initiatives. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of the job opportunities in the hydrogen power to energy. There's opportunities like fuel cell technicians, field service technicians, operation technicians, mechanical engineers, piping, foremen, coordinators, superintendents. There's a numerous of jobs. As a matter of fact, I am happy to say that, and I know Richard could probably attest to this, that we will be joining efforts with United Latin Fund X to come up with an internship. Mr. Senator, you also mentioned Cal State. Cal State is obviously very dear to me, as I attended, and I have 2 of my children going there now. And so I'm really happy to see that they are, looking at these alternatives. And again, Renewable Enterprises is committed into all the business practices. And so we're here to support SoCalGas in every way. We are local members of the union, and so we're proud to do that. And again, you in regards to infrastructure, we're ready to work. And if anybody is interested, please reach out to me, reach out to Richard. We are going to start collaborating with local colleges and just getting some of our youth to be interested in trades. I think this is an area that we could definitely improve in our communities. Many of our high school students, including one of mine, said, "Mom, I don't think I want to go to college, but I think I want to look into the construction field." So I think this is an opportunity, and I'm very excited to be here and partner. And again, Frank, you hit a lot of key points in regards to partnerships, and that's what Renewable Enterprises is ready to do. And here in Downey. Thank you.
Hey, Frank, if I can just jump in one more time. Richard, I'm sorry, because I'm on my screen, it says Frank right in front of me. But Richard, I just want to jump right in. And Elizabeth, good to see you again.
Yes.
But I will tell you this, when we think of Downey, you kind of go up a little bit or go down a little bit, whichever you are. You got Cerritos College. They have a technical staff there that is helping these young men and women get involved with the not only the fuel cell, but also the electric automobiles and so on. because Cerritos is the #1 new car dealership, dealers and association across the United States. More new cars are sold in my district in Cerritos than anywhere else in the country. But they need the technicians, and we're a Latino surrounded district. So they go to Cerritos College, and there they have a program in conjunction with the Automobile Association, and they're teaching and training these young men and women to be technicians at $40 an hour.
Yes.
So, you know, listen to what's happening. And then, of course, with Cal State LA doing what they're doing, and what I'm going to do as the chair of the subcommittee on energy and hydrogen and energy, I'm going to propose that we fund Cal State San Diego, Cal State Long Beach, Cal State schools, and get them up to par like Cal State LA using the hydrogen fuel cell hydrogen. And if we do that, then that's going to kick into gear all the young men and women that are going to school there that might say exactly what Elizabeth's sons are saying. Hey, I think I want to look into technology in this thing. And so I want to do that. So I thought I'd throw that in there because there's a lot of job opportunities,
Absolutely.
high paying, union oriented jobs.
Oh, wow. Senator, you pretty much teed up the next question and introduction of Tony Duran, because we're talking now about the nitty gritty. We're talking about the jobs. We're talking about being able, the technicians. You were talking about engaging schools. We're talking about providing new opportunities, particularly for Latinos, to not only maintain and build this infrastructure, but to take leadership in ways that have never been taken before. And speaking of leadership, I'd like to, Tony, if you could turn on your video for the next question, specifically again around job opportunities and communities of color locally. If you could introduce yourself, share your title, and also, you know, same question, what do you see as the job opportunities from your perspective as a union leader? Tony.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is Tony Duran. I am an employee of the Southern California Gas Company. I actually work in the measurement and regulation department. So we actually work on like the large commercial industrial meters, district regulator stations, electronics, and so forth. And I say all that as a foundation to what I'm about to get into here. And you would think we rehearse this as a group, because I'm about to tie in everything that everybody just said. It's been an amazing conversation. Senator, thank you for joining us. I greatly appreciate it. And I'm also representing the Utility Workers Union of America, Local 132. So like Elizabeth said, on the union side of things, I'm actually a union representative. I'm a veteran of the United States Army, and I'm chairman of the Veterans Committee for Local 132. We are one of the only locals on the West Coast that has a veterans committee. So that's kind of cool. And I applaud our Local 132 for having that. And I'm also a Region 5 Veterans Coordinator for the National UWUA. So I have the entire West Coast of the United States as far as representing veterans. So now that I've established that, I'm going to get into
Wait a minute, time out.
Yes,
time
sir.
out.
Absolutely.
Tony,
yes, sir.
Time out. I got to trump you on something here.
Yes, sir.
I'm the chair of the Military and Veterans Committee for the entire state of California, and I served with the 82nd Airborne. Hoorah. There you go.
Oh, so you were United States Army also?
Airborne.
Oh, airborne. Oh, thank you for your service,
go
Senator.
ahead,
Greatly
Tony.
appreciate it. I'm sorry. That's what us veterans do when we get together. We either give each other a hard time if we're from separate branches, or we pat each other on the back if we're from the same branch. So
Right.
Thank you for your service, Senator. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
I just wanted to get into a quick study that was done by NBC News. And NBC News said that only 18% of adult Latinos in the state of California actually have a college degree. As you continue to go through their study, what they finally unpacked at the end of their study is it comes down to cost. And, you know, college is extremely expensive. I'll just use myself for an example. I mean, you look at 4 years of high school, and for some of us, it's kind of tough to get through that. And you look at another 4 years of college and everything that comes along with that, you know, cost of tuition, books, housing, and the task kind of seems insurmountable. at that point. You're looking at 8 years just to get out and finally get a job. Like Elizabeth was saying, and like Senator Bob Archuleta was saying, you can step into on day one with a high school diploma, and I'll use myself as an example. I got a high school diploma, clean driving record, and if you can pass a drug test, you can jump into a job paying $36 an hour with SoCal Gas. And I know what that's done for me and for my family, having a union represented job, making that sort of money with great medical, dental, vision, 401k, retirement, and so forth. When you look at what SoCal Gas is doing to blend the hydrogen into our system, it's a no-brainer. I mean, I essentially may have to be retrained on how the hydrogen interacts with natural gas, but my job essentially is the same. Like Frank was saying, the global economy is expected by 2050 to be $2.5 trillion for hydrogen. And that's going to be supporting 30 million jobs. That's a lot of jobs and a lot of money that our Latino community could definitely tap into. And like Elizabeth was saying, I mean, you have companies like Herman Weissaker, Hinkles and McCoy, ARB, AM Ortega, even companies like Accubor, where you have Latinos that are already working these jobs that can transition over into the hydrogen aspect of it and essentially be doing the same work with just some slight modifications. So like I said, for a high school student coming in, and let's be honest, you know, as us Latinos, we get out, you know, into high school and start transitioning out of high school. Like I said, that task seems insurmountable at times to make that transition from high school to college, getting a degree, going out and finding a job and so forth. And at times, sometimes we run into, you know, a bad crowd or we start going the wrong way. But if you know, as, you know, a 14, 15, 16-year-old kid, that all you got to do is keep your nose clean, get your high school diploma, keep your driving record clean, and you can jump into a job on Monday morning making almost $40 an hour to be able to support yourself and or your family. This industry is a no-brainer for the Latino community, in my opinion.
So what I appreciate, Tony, about what you said is really weaving together not only the practical current opportunities, but also quantifying and qualifying the future and emerging opportunities. And they're vast and they're infinite. And obviously not just for the Latino community, but for all communities, right? And so really the question becomes, Tony, and the way that you kind of teed this up perfectly is, you know, what are the opportunities for collaboration, right? I purposefully, and the United Latinx Fund purposefully convened this conversation. And what we specialize in is in partnerships and in collaboration and bringing people together. That's what we do. So I'd like to open up the conversation to all our panelists to think about what are the opportunities for collaboration across public sector utilities, private sector enterprise, elected officials, and advocates like the United Latinx Fund and others to promote this emerging opportunity for the benefit of our community. And if anybody wants to start off with a response.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Tony a follow-up question, just thinking about, you know, knowing that this hydrogen economy is coming, how similar is the work that, you know, your union does right now compared to working on hydrogen? Is it fairly similar skills? Do you need, does it require, you know, training? And also too, like, how do you prepare for that training down the road? Like, how does the union prepare to work on these new types of energy infrastructure?
Well, one thing I can say is moving anything through a pipeline, you're getting it from point A to point B, whether that's sewer, gas, water, you're moving it from point A to point B. That gas, whether it's hydrogen and or natural gas, is under pressure, essentially, in the pipeline system. The only thing that would be different is welding on hot pipe. So that would be pipe that actually has gas running through it. Now, whether that's hydrogen or whether that's natural gas, the properties of actually welding on that pipe with gas in it from what I understand, slightly change when you introduce hydrogen into the system. Other than that, you're moving the commodity from point A to point B through that pipeline system under pressure. So the pressure control, the actual wrenching on the pipeline system all stays the same. The only difference would be the actual welding on hot pipe. One thing that I can say, and speaking for the Southern California Gas Company, because I don't have any experience with any of the other contractors, I've worked for the gas company for the last 19 years, is the training program that the Southern California Gas Company has out of the Pico Rivera base is one of the best that I've seen. It is absolutely amazing. And from what I understand, the gas company is already going through the testing process and so forth of mixing the hydrogen in with natural gas and figuring out what the capabilities of welding on that pipe currently are, so that we can possibly have to retrain our welders if needed at that time. But to answer your question in a roundabout way, there's essentially no difference in working on that pipeline system, whether it's got hydrogen in it or it's just straight natural gas.
Yeah, Frank, let me, and Richard, let me just jump in. You're absolutely right, Tony. As the chair of this as the chair of the Hydrogen and Energy Subcommittee, I'm able to meet with various entities that are going to be participating and retooling. That the term is retooling, and Tony can understand this. And so the piping industry has already developed additional pipes, stronger, that can handle the extreme cold. And that's what hydrogen is at. It's extremely cold. So they're already developing that. So they're looking in that direction. So that whole industry is going in that direction. They're getting ready. And then when I went to Ontario, to an actual plant there, huge, probably the size of 4 football fields, they're already developing and producing the hydrogen, and they're going to build another plant. They already got one on the boards already, and they've got one in Canada, and they're going to do another one here in California. So it's starting to happen. And you know what I told them all, and I was in the room with all the top executives with this hydrogen company. I said, your problem is the name, hydrogen. It's scary to the general public, the layman. That's a scary phrase, scary word, hydrogen. So they're thinking about rebranding, calling it HO, H2O energy. Look for a different brand coming, because, we, all of us, the laypersons, need to feel secure. It is safe. It is not as flammable. I mean, it's really a different type of energy. And we just got to get the general public to buy into it, and then they'll produce more. The automobiles will start to come. And talk about the automobiles, they're safe, and they're just as beautiful as any other car. So my hat's out to the 4 major companies that are coming from Japan and China and Korea. So they're doing that. Now, the American manufacturers, Ford and Chrysler and all the rest of them, they're looking at it as well. So it's starting to come. And this is why I want to fire out a warning shot to the Latino community, to the workers, everyone. Be prepared, be ready for it. And we should not let this run away from us. We should embrace it and demand that we have a piece of this pie, as I started the conversation.
Open question, Elizabeth and or Tony, opportunities for collaboration. You're hearing some very exciting ideas from the technical side, Elizabeth. You're
Absolutely.
hearing some very exciting ideas from the training technical assistance workforce side. Where do you see yourself fitting into all of this?
Absolutely. And, I'm glad that Mr. Senator Archuleta mentioned in regards to we want a piece of the pie, right? So being a minority business enterprise and providing so many jobs to our local communities of color, especially, in Southern California, definitely we are ready. So we are both, again, and, the question that Frank asked in regards to, I also asked the same question in regards to, what type of work is this? Are companies ready? Well, definitely Herman Weisker in Riverside that's doing work with SoCalGas on the gas distribution. And then we have Doty Brothers who does gas transmission, a different type of work. You know, I asked the president, I said, well, how different is that? Elizabeth, we're ready to work. You know, they work with refineries, they work with biofuel initiatives. And so he said, we're ready to work, basically, like you mentioned, Tony, just, you know, from going to plan A to plan B and just deliver that. And so I know another thing you mentioned, Richard, in regards to, you know, Meruelo Enterprises and, you know, how we're going to partner with certain, you know, organizations in regards to job creation. So we're ready to go. You know, we just hired a new recruiter that's going to be specializing in partnering up with some of these local colleges, especially in this area in our district and also in our surrounding companies. And so one of them, I know you received an email, Richard, in regards to doing that. But Mr. Archuleta, I will definitely be following up with you in regards to some of these programs and in Cerritos. And I just purchased 2 cars from Cerritos. So yes, you're right. I got 2 Kias there for my kids. So I'm always providing back to the community. But yes, we are, as I mentioned, Richard, and there is definitely a lot of follow-up and a lot of conversation to be continued. I know Frank and I had a great conversation, great meeting. And so Meruelo is ready to partner and work with SoCalGas and let's go after these jobs and provide these jobs to our young youth.
Good.
Very good. I know that we now usually transition to our Q&A, where we ask all of our attendees to, if they would like, be promoted to panelists so that they could enter into the meeting room. Because of bandwidth issues, you may still want to turn off your camera just because now we're going to have more folks in the room. So Jake, if you would be so kind as to promote everybody to a panelist. So I'm starting to see some questions percolating in the chat box. And it seems like a lot of folks who are attending today are very interested in this topic. And have some ideas, maybe even how to support. While Jake is promoting folks into our room, I do want to piggyback, Senator, off what Elizabeth had mentioned. Meruelo has hired a new sort of recruitment coordinator and has actually reached out to ULF. Nothing official yet, but we're having initial conversations to do exactly what you said, Senator, which is to connect all the dots, both through our existing network of nonprofits, as well as local universities, to be able to develop and cultivate, you know, the workforce necessary in order to meet this growing demand. It would be great if we could also partner with folks like SoCalGas. Tony mentioned an excellent training program that the company provides that potentially might be able to provide some value added to a local workforce development initiative conducted in partnership with Meruelo and United Latinx Fund. So really exciting conversations and partnerships that are emerging. I'm seeing some folks being promoted as panelists. I think this might take a few more minutes, but while we're doing that, folks are declining. Okay, anybody who wants to be a panelist is welcome. But we do have a conversation. I think Frank would be a good person to answer.
You want me to take the South Coast question?
Please.
Yeah. So
it's
Jesse asked, you know, where does South Coast Air Quality Management District come into the conversation? It's a great question. You know, for those of you who know, you know, Southern California, especially in the LA basin, has some of the worst air quality in the United States. Unfortunately, we've made significant progress over the last couple of decades, but we're still out of attainment with federal air quality standards. And the district is really hoping that we're going to be successful with building this hydrogen infrastructure because of the benefits that it can provide to decarbonize a lot of sectors where electric alternatives don't exist. And so think of heavy polluting industries like, you know, locomotives, airplanes, the port complex. I think a lot of people forget too that Los Angeles is one of the largest manufacturing hubs in the entire nation. And so there are a lot of companies that unfortunately can't electrify, but they need to reduce their emissions to improve air quality, and hydrogen can serve this purpose. It can help for, for heating and can operate similar to natural gas. And so for that reason, South Coast is really supportive of us building and being successful and building out infrastructure here in the LA basin to support those industries.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Frank. Welcome everybody to our shared meeting room. Jesse, thank you so much for your support from the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers that is standing ready to support with the student chapter and about every college and university. We would love to be able to connect with you through this growing network of support. I'd also like to open it up to some of our friends and colleagues at the Latino Coalition of Los Angeles. I know that they are well connected to community and advocating on some of the most pressing issues and concerns that community has, particularly Latino communities. So anybody from Latino Coalition would like to address the panel?
Sure.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Martha.
Okay, so I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for your time today. I wanted to just really point out the need. My name is Martha Varela. I work for LA Family Housing in the San Fernando Valley area of Los Angeles. And what we do is try to stabilize the growing homeless population. We're seeing a lot of Latino families that are falling into the gap of becoming homeless. And so it's very exciting to hear, this new information about some of the new trends in the job market, because as we've seen historically, a lot of the jobs that are available to a lot of our Latino families are ones that are almost unattainable, that there has to be some super high level of training, degree. And for many of our quote unquote regular, hardworking, everyday families, these are not jobs that are very promising for them. And so it's exciting to hear, as I've heard the senator speak a little bit about, what the trends are that are coming. So for us that are, ground level workers, we can sort of grab the children or sort of the high school children, the next level of people that are kind of coming down the pipe to help give them these, this incredible information and instill hope into, their families. Because part of, as you all know, what really helps eliminate that poverty line is really being able to have jobs that can afford to pay. As we hear, it takes 4 salaries to, really just maintain the rent for 1 unit. And that's really disheartening. So I'm just here to say thank you for the wonderful information. I know that I would definitely share this wonderful information with some of the families that we work with to just, again, instill hope that there's new, exciting, job, career information that they could really hold on to and kind of look into. Same with like solar. We've heard some of the shift to that industry and how that is such a high paying industry. So I just want to say thank you as one of the workers on the ground that's looking to help lift a lot of our Latino families up out of poverty. This is great information that you guys are sharing. So thank you.
If I can jump in real quick, Martha, on that one, thank you for what you said. I appreciate it. And I just wanted to clarify something on the training aspect that you had mentioned on behalf of SoCal Gas. The gas company will pay you while you're being trained. So it's not like you have to do the training on your own, or it's an internship program, or you have to do, night school or anything like that. If you're offered a job with SoCal Gas, and like I said, the requirements are simply what I have: a high school diploma, a clean driving record, and being able to pass the drug test, they will pay you while you're going through training. Not only that, but your uniforms are paid for. Our union just negotiated an additional boot allowance, so even the boots on your feet will be partially paid for through being a union member. So you're absolutely right. Not only being able to jump in on Monday morning, making that amount of money, but being paid while you're being trained Once you get out of training, our union has also negotiated a pay raise every 6 months up to your 2-year mark. So you get an additional pay raise 6 months after your hire date, another 6 months after that, so forth, up to your 2-year mark. So you're absolutely right. They're good paying union jobs. The clothes on your back, your uniforms, your jackets, the boots on your feet, everything's paid for. All you got to be willing to do is some hard work. And our Latino community, one thing I will say is we're damn hard workers, and I'm proud of that.
Absolutely. Thank you for that clarification, Tony. That's
Yeah,
great.
I'm gonna have to run out of here in a few minutes because I've got to go to honor our Latino school teachers and administrators in Bellflower. So I'm running all over the place. But before I go, Frank and Tony and Ingrid and all of you, Elizabeth, everyone that I can see on the screen, it is such an honor to be around such strong Latinos and Latinas who have educated themselves to be the leaders in their communities and neighborhoods and so on. So when they talk about Latino pride, I'm looking right at it. And I'm so proud that I've raised my 5 children. And before I go, I got to tell you, I got one out of USC, one out of Pepperdine, one out of Chapman, and 2 sons out of West Point. So you can imagine how proud I am, because when I came home from the military, I just wanted to start my family, and I knew I had to train, guide, and teach my kids to be leaders and to educate themselves in whatever field they wanted. And I know all of you are doing the same thing. So Elizabeth, again, a big shout out to you, because I know you've been working so hard in raising your children. And so all of you, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and keep the Latino pride going, because I'm looking right at it. And God bless you all. And
Merry Christmas, Senator. And thank you so much for the other day. The Senator goes above and beyond. I had a little incident. He went with me to the body shop. I won't forget that. Thank you for helping.
Okay,
Thank
everybody,
you.
have a good one. All right, airborne, Tony. Bye now.
Thank you, Senator Hoyle.
Thank you, Senator, so much for joining us. We have about just 2 minutes left. Clearly, the Senator is very inspiring and also very committed, to making all of this work and being a champion on behalf of not only this emerging energy source, but also our community. And he really does see the connection between both. And he sees both of them as being inclusive and not 2 separate topics. He sees them as both win-wins. They need to be coordinated, collaborated, and partnered across folks like ourselves.
And let's get some of these Latinos working and making them, fair wages, great wages, by the way. Tony, I was shocked when I joined this company, and I'm like, what? They do very well.
And in addition, living wages for our communities, which is jobs, is one of the United Latinx Fund's funding priorities, but also good for the environment, also technologically innovative, also investing in infrastructure, also being able to be price competitive, and also being able to work in tandem, which is something that Frank touched upon very, very briefly, but to be an energy source that is in tandem and complementary to electrification, not a substitution, not in lieu of, but complementary to. Frank, do you want to just briefly touch upon that? Because I think in people's mind, unfortunately, the way that the conversation has been set up, it's been set up very either or. And I think, Frank, you might be able to illuminate us very quickly about that.
Yeah, I think I did. I mentioned, that the state is moving towards building in vehicle electrification to help decarbonize the state, but not everything can be electrified, and we're going to need to decarbonize all sectors of the economy, and hydrogen can help with those sectors. I did mention that, but I know as we're running out of time, I want to thank you, Richard, for kind of convening this conversation, because as the Senator mentioned, a lot of people really don't know much about hydrogen. If you go out and you ask folks, to his point is that, there's a very low information about hydrogen. And really a lot of the conversations that are taking place right now are at kind of these trade associations, these hydrogen related trade associations that I participate in. And I'll tell you, there's no Latinos in any of those rooms. So I know that the industry is still kind of in its infancy, but it's important to kind of get ahead of the curve and start to have like these preliminary conversations now, right? Because as it grows, we want to be part of that conversation, right? So I'm glad that you're convening these conversations, even though it's still kind of early in this industry's kind of development.
Well, that's what we do at ULF and LCLA. We are thought leaders and we try to bring folks together to get ahead of the curve, because oftentimes, as we know, our community is unfortunately behind the curve. And so we need to rectify that. I want to also encourage all the panelists, Elizabeth, Tony, Frank, and we also have a representative from the senator's office on the line. If you could be so kind as to put your contact information in the chat box. And once you do that, we will close out tonight's conversation. It is recorded. We will do some highlight video. And of course, this entire video will be available on YouTube, as well as on the ULF website. We do a recap on our website as well. So as soon as we get the contact information, thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Frank. And the representative from Senator Archuleta's office, if you could please also put that in there. And we'll just wait for Tony and we'll be out. Thank you, Tony. I'm going to go ahead and save the chat so that I can share it with anybody who wants it. Everybody have a great evening. I'll give you your time back and we'll be in touch. Thank you so much for your time. Take care.